What's up, Moto fans? Michael here at Moto Machines, and today we're going to be continuing our Triumph Tiger 900 build series with the installation of the Hepco and Becker tank and engine guards. Now, you should be considering crash protection if you plan on taking your motorcycle off-road. In fact, it's kind of necessary. Between all the drops and crashes, you really want to protect this expensive tank and these super expensive engine casings. But the same can be said for the street too. These are going to be all steel construction, providing you with a great sense of security and unparalleled protection against the unknown. Now, this is going to be a little more involved than your standard install, which is why we're doing something a little more hands-on. I highly recommend you getting a buddy to help you, as this is going to be a level 2 out of 3 on the scale of difficulty. And on that note, hey Andrew.
What's up, Michael?
Can you give me a hand with these?
Maybe. What's in it for me?
You're going to like this.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
Oh yeah, baby. Let's get going.
Always bribe your friends with beer to help you install these.
Yes.
There you go. Don't be afraid to treat yourself either. Cheers, buddy. Let's get this done.
Work.
Now, if you have the standard Rally, you don't have to worry about this part. But if you have the Rally Pro, the option's up to you. We're going to be replacing this OEM guard with a white one here just so it matches. But you can just keep the OEM one and install the white tank guard if you like this one or you just don't want to replace it. As I said before, you don't have to replace this OEM guard, but we're going to so we can have a matching set. Also, make sure to have all the tools that you're going to need handy nearby so you're not running back and forth to the toolbox. That's how you forget things. Basically, what you're going to need is you're going to need a ratchet, a Torx bit socket set, an Allen key socket set, and a normal socket set to complete this job. All right, so first things first, we got to remove this OEM guard. If you come over here, there's a rubber cover here. Just slide that rubber cover out of the way. That's going to reveal these two bolts. You're going to take your T30 socket and just unwind it. Next, we're going to swap out the T30 for a 12mm socket. You put that on, and then you're going to come under the guard, place it on the bolt, give it a crack loose. See if you can get it with your hand. Now that that's out, we're going to take the 12mm socket off. You're going to add on an extension for this part. And then you're going to come below the guard here. Now there's a spacer under this one, so you have to be careful you don't lose it. So you have the spacer and the nut, and then that's just going to slide off like that. Now, all the OEM hardware we're not going to need, so you can go ahead and put that aside. The first step for putting on the Hepco and Becker guards, though, is you're going to take the supplied plastic plug and put it on the non-plugged end. And then, now for expediency's sake, we put the washers on all the bolts already. First thing you're going to do is you're going to line up the engine guard and then thread these bolts in just a little bit so they hold. Now you want to make sure that you're not tightening down the bolts completely until you have both sides on the bike. And we're going to switch hands here. Thread this bottom one in just a little bit. Alright, so now we're just going to get these bolts torqued down. And then you're going to need an extension for the one down here. Now, the bottom left bolt of the left guard by the skid plate was a little tricky to get to, but with the right tools and if you take your time, you'll be okay. Now, if this isn't something you're comfortable dealing with, I highly suggest just taking it to your local dealer to have them take care of it for you. Now, before we move on to the next step, I do want to emphasize that you should only do one side at a time for installing the tank guards. Otherwise, you risk the engine position moving, and that's not something you really want. Go ahead, ask me how I know. So just stick to the right side and then finish the right side and then move on to the left and you'll be okay. Now that we've got the engine guard on, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the tank guard. You're gonna need a 5mm Allen socket, and then you're gonna come up to this bolt right here. You're gonna crack that loose. You're gonna remove that. Now this little metal panel here is gonna pop off just like so. And that is going to reveal a bolt down here behind the radiator. Now that's gonna be a T50 socket, and you're gonna need an extension to reach that one. So you're gonna come in. And then we're just gonna remove this bolt here. Some of these bolts are pretty long, so just keep at it. Pull that out. There's gonna be a washer that falls out. Set that aside. Now, as you can see, we're currently up underneath the front of the bike, and the next step is to unplug the fog lights. That's gonna be these parts right here. You're gonna need some sort of flathead or some sort of pick like I have here to unhook these. You're just gonna depress the tab and get those out. Now we're gonna unplug the second one here. Same thing, just depress the tab, give it a little push, and it'll come right out. All right, next step is we're gonna undo these two 12mm bolts here. Now, as you can see, I've doubled up on the reach just to get a little bit more leverage coming down on it. And then these ones are fairly tight, so just keep working at it. Now, be sure to hold this as you're unscrewing these, otherwise it's gonna, drop just like that. All right, now that that bracket's free, we're just gonna remove the screws and then unplug the horn. Right, set the horn off to the side, and then you're just gonna pop these covers off. Like that. All right, so now for the bracket, all you're gonna do is undo these fog lights here. It's a T25. Get that going. Right, once that is unbolted, you're gonna unplug this from here. We've already done that. Just pop it out from that little clip, and then you're gonna unhook that and then feed it through here. Now be careful because you don't want to just yank it, otherwise you'll damage it. There's this little rubber grommet here. You just kind of work your way under it and it'll eventually pop free, and then pull the plug out. And then you don't need this bow either, so you can go ahead and discard this. All right, so now we're gonna be installing the right side engine guard. You're gonna need the long engine mount bolt. We already put the spacer on there, the washer I mean, and then you're gonna need the shorter black spacer as well. Now to make this easier on yourself, you're gonna wanna put the bolt through this hole before trying to put it on the bike. So you just feed that through there, take the shorter black spacer, feed it there, and if you come over here, we're gonna get this on the bike now. So basically you come through here, and then by having the bolt already started through the hole, you can just continue to put it in, and then you're gonna take your tool and just tying that down to get it started so it'll hold. So as you can see, we got the tank guard all mounted up. Now, once you have that, just make sure to tighten it down. Don't over tighten it or else you're gonna strip it and you're gonna be in a world of hurt. Next step is to get the fog lights back on. So we're gonna install those fog lights, and you're gonna need those OEM bolts that you removed to take them off the bracket that we removed. So if you don't have those, you better go find where you put them because we are gonna need them. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this metal shield here and your fog light. You're gonna place it over the fog light and take the OEM bolt and push it through the bolt hole. Next up, we're gonna take the bracket. Now these brackets are mirrored, so just mock it up to the bike and see which side fits best. And then you're gonna take the short side, place it on there. And then you're gonna take one of the larger leftover washers. It's the perfect size for this bolt. Place it over, and then take the supplied lock nuts and kind of just thread them on just to hold it. Next step, we're gonna mount the fog light up. So you're gonna take the long side of that bracket, put it there. Now we already have the washer on the bolts, and you're just gonna start to thread it in, like so. And then just tighten that Johnny up. Now you don't have to tighten it all the way, just enough to hold it there. And then you're gonna do the exact same for the other side. After you've done that, you're gonna take the OEM plug and you're gonna come up here to one of these little connection points and you're just gonna plug it back in. All right, now that we got the fog light situated the way we want, we're gonna install this little metal guard here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come under here and just kind of give it a little feel there, see how it goes. Take that OEM bolt and put it through the bolt hole and start to tighten it down. Take our ratchet, click it on, give it one ugga, and you're all good. Now, just make sure to go through all the bolts, make sure they're tightened down, don't strip them, and you're all done. Thanks for tuning in today, but you know what's better than all of this? Some B-roll.